This driver drives through the streets of Korea like a madwoman. She's a former North Korean defector who now works as a special delivery driver. But one job turns her world upside down. She's sent to pick up a man and his young son, and before she knows it, they're being chased by a dirty cop who will stop at nothing to get what he wants. The father ends up dead. The kid is now her responsibility. And she's being framed. Can she outsmart the killer and protect the boy? Eun-ha isn't your average driver. She's a pro behind the wheel, known for completing every job without fail. She'll deliver anything, or anyone, as long as the price is right. And with a flawless track record, no one dares to question her skills. She works out of a rundown junkyard with her boss, CEO Beck, and their teammate Asif, who handles all the car repairs and custom upgrades. Despite her tough job, Eun-ha is warm-hearted and well-liked, fitting right in with her small crew at the junkyard. One night, after a long day, she returns to the office. But instead of clocking out, she's handed an urgent job. It's late, so she negotiates for a higher cut, and Mr. Beck agrees without hesitation. Her client is a gangster on the run, being hunted by a rival gang. When he sees Eun-ha, his face drops. A girl? He clearly doubts her. There's no time to argue. The sound of screeching tires is getting closer. He climbs in. The moment she hits the gas, the chase begins. Eun-ha handles the car like a weapon, drifting through tight corners and pulling sharp U-turns. The gangsters behind her try to keep up, but she's always one move ahead. The man behind her clutches the seat, terrified, while she stays cool and focused. At one point, she ducks into a quiet row of parked cars, engine off, holding her breath. For a second, it seems they've shaken the tail, but as they pull out, one of the pursuers spots them again. The chase is back on. One by one, she ditches the cars behind her. Only two are left. The street ahead narrows dangerously, and the man warns her it's too tight, there's no way through. But Eun-ha makes it through. She traps one car in a dead end and faces down the last one. With no room to turn, she aims for the train tracks. A train barrels past, its lights blinding. Timing it perfectly, she shoots through, missing the train by inches. She manages to get rid of the last car. She's done it again. After arriving at the drop-off point, she follows protocol, switching her license plate to avoid being traced. The man, now both stunned and impressed, hands over a bag of cash. He slips her extra bills and offers his business card, asking her to work for him. Eun-ha accepts the tip but pushes the card back into his pocket. She doesn't jump ship. Her loyalty lies with her team. Back at the junkyard, CEO Beck praises her for another job well done. When she catches him sneaking a cigarette, she snatches the pack. The doctor told him to quit. Later, they all gather for a barbecue. Beck grumbles as they complain about their meat preference, but deep down, he enjoys taking care of them. In this little junkyard, they're more than just co-workers. They're family. Elsewhere, a baseball player exposes a dark secret. Players have been throwing games on purpose, bribed with huge sums of money, all to benefit an illegal sports gambling ring. At home, a man named Dusik is frantically searching for something. He climbs up to his bathroom ceiling and retrieves a hidden security fob. Just then, CO1 calls out excitedly, "Dad, you're on TV." Dusik watches the news for a moment, but he already knows he's in trouble. He used to be a baseball player too, but now, he's a wanted man for being a broker for the illegal gambling ring. With no time to waste, he starts packing to flee. He heads to a shady building to collect a fake passport, hoping to escape by ship. There, he meets Ki-bang, a gangster who offers him another way out. "Don't drive yourself," Ki-bang warns. "Most people get caught. Take a special delivery instead." Dusik hesitates, then agrees. Meanwhile, Kyung-pil arrives at his office where the gang operates. He is a corrupt police officer and the mastermind behind the gambling ring. Furious that the operation has been exposed, he blames his assistant. But when they discover Dusik has stolen the security fob, which unlocks $30 million, Kyung-pil snaps. His assistant begs for mercy, but Kyung-pil coldly throws him out the window without a second thought. Elsewhere, Dusik and CO1 are in a car. Kyung-pil calls. His voice is calm, but laced with threat. He demands the return of the security fob, but Dusik isn't backing down. He's using the fob as leverage, hoping it will buy him and his son enough time to run away. The next morning, Eun-ha wakes up in her modest home. She lives simply, with her beloved cat, Chubby. After feeding him, she heads to work. At the garage, CEO Beck gives her a new assignment. This one's in Seoul. Immediately, she frowns. "Did this come from Ki-bang?" she asks. "I told you, his jobs are always messy." Beck shrugs, saying it pays well. She finally agrees, but only if they split the profits 50-50. He nods. They go over the route. Unha grabs a few spare license plates, some tools, and carefully studies her path. Asif preps the car, making sure it's fast and discreet. When everything's ready, she sets off. Meanwhile, Dusik and Seowon are lying low in a container near an old baseball field. Kyungpil has tracked them down. While Dusik shares a quiet dinner with Seowon, he hears a car approach. At first, he thinks it's the driver, but then he spots two more cars behind it. He rushes back in. Panicking, he hands his son the phone and the security fob. "Go, find the driver. I'll be right behind you," he says, guiding Seowon to the back window. Outside, Dusik confronts Kyungpil and his men. They beat him viciously, demanding the fob. He glares at them and sneers, "I swallowed it. Go ahead, cut me open." Meanwhile, Seowon is running through the forest. At the same time, Unha sits in her car at the meeting point, glancing at the time. No sign of her client. Back at the hideout, Kyungpil discovers Dusik's fake passports. Realizing the boy is trying to escape, he orders his men to hunt down Seowon immediately. Seowon spots Unha's car and rushes towards it. Unha is confused. This isn't the client she was supposed to pick up. She hesitates, but when she sees the gangsters closing in fast, she makes a snap decision and opens the door. Seowon jumps in. With gangsters chasing close behind, Unha slams her foot on the gas. One by one, she takes the enemy down. Meanwhile, Dusik sees a chance to escape and attacks the man guarding him. He stumbles toward the road. Up ahead, Unha's car speeds down the road, and suddenly, Kyungpil appears, blocking her way. She doesn't flinch. Her eyes lock on him, and she accelerates. But just as she's about to hit, Dusik throws himself in front of Kyungpil's car. He sacrifices himself to save Seowon, giving them one last chance to get away. The gangsters know Seowon has the security fob and they're determined to catch him. They burn Dusik's body and the container house to destroy any evidence of the crime. Unha and Seowon manage to escape. She pulls over, planning to leave. But the boy keeps following her, unsure where to go. She tells him coldly, "I only took this job for money. Stop following me." But Seowon opens his bag, revealing it's stuffed with cash. With pleading eyes, he asks her to stay until his dad calls him, still unaware that his father is gone. CEO Beck calls. Unha explains what happened. He tells her to drop the kid somewhere and get out before it's too late. He suggests an old contact, a shady guy who takes in unwanted kids. Unha stays distant, barely speaking to Seowon as they take a train to the meeting spot. At a rundown basketball court, she hands the boy over. The man walks away with him, but Seowon keeps turning back to look at her. Unha walks down the streets, but something feels wrong. She knows the man will probably force Seowon into something illegal. She rushes back to find him, and enters a small public restroom. There, she finds Seowon, trying to escape through the window. At the police station, Kyungpil meets with his team. Pretending to investigate Dusik's case, he orders them to track down the vehicle Seowon escaped in. But behind the scenes, he's twisting the story, trying to frame Unha for Dusik's murder and the boy's kidnapping. Meanwhile, Unha and Seowon check into a rundown motel. She leaves briefly to buy him food and supplies for their escape. While out, she also steals a new car to stay off the radar. Elsewhere, Ki-bang and his crew are casually eating when Kyungpil storms in, furious. Without warning, he attacks Ki-bang, demanding to know where Unha is. Ki-bang insists he only arranged the delivery job, he doesn't know the details. He reveals one thing, they often use stolen cars with fake plates. Kyungpil immediately calls his team to scan reports for any recently stolen vehicles. Eventually, one of Kyungpil's men tracks Unha's location to a nearby motel. He alerts the team, and Kyungpil rushes there. Inside the motel room, Seowon is watching the news when the truth hits him, his father is dead. Shocked and heartbroken, he bursts into tears. Unha comforts him, but keeps it short, "If you want to live, we need to leave now." As the police close in, Unha quickly creates a distraction. She reroutes the motel phone line, tricking the team into searching the wrong room. Disguised as a hotel cleaner, she tries to slip away unnoticed. Kyungpil spots her in the hallway. In the elevator, he corners her and pulls out a gun. Coldly, he offers her a deal, "Give me the boy, and I'll let you walk away." Before she can answer, Seowon suddenly bites Kyungpil's leg from behind. In the chaos, Unha snatches the gun and turns it on him. Without wasting a second, she and Seowon flee, leaving Kyungpil yelling behind them. They escape in another car, and as they drive off, Seo-won hands Eun-ha the security fob. But there's a quiet moment too. He's embarrassed to admit he wet himself during the chase. Eun-ha buys him a cute pair of pajamas. Later, she calls Asif and shares the passcode to her apartment. "Aren't we moving too fast?" he questions. But really, she just wants him to feed her beloved cat. As they drive through the night, Seo-won turns to Eun-ha and says he wants to find his mom. He admits he told her he didn't have one, but that was only because his dad told him to say that. Back at the police station, Kyung-pil's team is digging deeper into Eun-ha's identity, but they find almost nothing. As a North Korean defector, her records are sealed, so they call in Chief Han, the officer in charge of managing defectors. She arrives with a smug attitude, telling Kyung-pil she'll help find Eun-ha, though it's clear she doesn't think much of his skills. Through phone network tracing, Chief Han manages to pinpoint Eun-ha's location. Without wasting time, Kyung-pil sends his most ruthless hitman ahead to take care of her before the team arrives. Meanwhile, Eun-ha and Seo-won arrive in a shady part of town, a nightclub district. Eun-ha tells Seo-won to wait in the car while she goes to look for his mother. She finds the woman working at a hostess bar. But when confronted, the woman coldly denies any connection to Seo-won. She wants nothing to do with him. Eun-ha walks back to the car. When she can't see Seo-won, panic rises, but then, suddenly, Seo-won runs up behind her and hugs her. Trying to protect him from the truth, Eun-ha lies and says the woman isn't his mother. But Seo-won doesn't believe her. He insists on calling the woman himself. Desperate to shield him, Eun-ha grabs his phone and smashes it. Then, she tells him the truth. His mother refused to see him. Before the pain can settle in, the hitman strikes. Another man grabs Seo-won and speeds off in a car. Eun-ha fights back, wounded but fierce. She slashes the hitman's leg with a screwdriver. Outnumbered, Eun-ha creates a distraction. She starts a fire to trigger the sprinkler system. The wet floor throws the attacker off balance. The getaway car crashes, giving Eun-ha just enough time to take down the driver and escape with Seo-won. The chase isn't over yet. In a thrilling, high-stakes drive through a multi-level garage, the hitman catches up. Eun-ha drives with all her skill, even losing a car door along the way. At a rooftop corner, the killer tries to ram them off the building, but Eun-ha blinds him with a sudden flash of her headlights, then cuts sharply into a side lot. His car accelerates, and plunges off the 4th floor. They survive, but Eun-ha is completely drained. Injured and exhausted, she passes out at the wheel. Seo-won cries desperately, running to the main road, waving for help. A woman sees them and drives them to the hospital. Meanwhile, back at the police station, Chief Han calls Kyung-pil, mocking him for letting Eun-ha slip away. She says she's not convinced Eun-ha is a kidnapper, and offers to join the investigation. But Kyung-pil shuts her down. He doesn't need her getting in his way. Later, Kyung-pil visits the hospital where his hitman is being treated. But it's not a friendly visit, he's there to silence him for good. Chief Han, now suspicious, decides to head to the scene herself. She begins quietly gathering evidence on her own. Back in the car, Eun-ha slowly wakes up. She sees Seo-won asleep beside her and gently places her jacket over him. Their bond becoming stronger with each passing day. She calls CEO Baek, who is relieved to hear her voice. Tells her they need to get Seo-won out of the country. They quickly take a passport photo and plan the next step. Returning to the junkyard in Busan, Eun-ha and Seo-won are welcomed like family. Baek and Asif hand him a passport. The plan is to take him to Asif's hometown, where his father can look after him. Eun-ha hands over the security fob to CEO Baek. Though she offers to take care of it, Baek insists that he will handle it. Before he leaves, Eun-ha takes a quiet walk with Seo-won. He grins cheekily and asks if she wants him to be her boyfriend so that he can protect her. She laughs and for a brief moment, they forget the chaos chasing them. But peace doesn't last. Kyung-pil tracks them to the junkyard. That same night, he and his men arrive in full force, ready to finish what they started. Meanwhile, Chief Han and her team examine the earlier crime scene where they discover Seo-won's watch. It had been recording all along. The audio clearly captures Kyung-pil threatening Do-sik. The truth hits hard, Kyung-pil is the murderer. Without wasting time, Chief Han heads straight to the junkyard to arrest him. At the junkyard, the ambush begins. Kyung-pil's men beat CEO Baek mercilessly, demanding to know where the kid is. Thinking fast, Baek hits the speaker button. Asif, hearing the chaos, immediately hides Seo-won in the trunk of a car and runs to help. The torture continues. Baek refuses to give in. Asif rushes to help Baek, and Kyung-pil tells him that he will pay him well if he spills where Seo-won is. When Asif swears at him, Kyung-pil threatens to cut off his leg. Desperate to save his friend, Beck claims he has the security fob. Since it requires fingerprint verification, they allow him to open the safe. But Beck has one last move. He grabs a hidden gun and fires, taking down a few gangsters. But he's outnumbered and Kyung-pil shoots him. Beck collapses, bleeding out. The gang retrieves the fob, and Kyung-pil announces a reward, $100,000 to whoever finds the kid first. One of them does. Seo-won is dragged out of hiding and brought to Kyung-pil. Not long after, Eun-ha returns, and sees everything through the window. Beck's lifeless body. Asif barely hanging on. Seo-won, captured. Her heart breaks, but she doesn't have time to grieve. She needs to act. She cuts the power. Armed with only a screwdriver and her fury, she moves like a shadow through the darkness. One by one, she takes the men down, fast, brutal, and silent. Even though she's outnumbered, her skills and rage give her the upper hand. Asif, using what little strength he has left, manages to free Seo-won and helps him escape, but collapses in the process. Eun-ha, bruised and exhausted, doesn't stop. When Kyung-pil starts shooting at her, she jumps out of the window, landing hard. Her body screams in pain, but she pushes through, crawling to a nearby car and driving off to find Seo-won. She finds him, and pulls him into the car. But Kyung-pil is relentless. Driving a massive crane, he charges toward them and blocks their path. He drags Seo-won from the car, using him as leverage. Walk away, he growls. He's not your kid. Why throw your life away for a stranger? Eun-ha doesn't flinch. She looks at Seo-won and forces a smile. Just as Kyung-pil pushes Seo-won into the water, Eun-ha charges forward, tackling him and the both of them plunge into the sea. She grabs Seo-won and pushes him up to the surface. But Kyung-pil, even in his final moments, refuses to let go of his evil. He clicks a pair of handcuffs onto Eun-ha's leg, dragging her down into the water with him. Chief Han and her team arrives in time to rescue Seo-won. He clutches her, sobbing, "Please save Eun-ha." But there's no trace of her. She's gone. In the aftermath, Seo-won now lives in an orphanage. He starts school, makes friends, and slowly begins to smile again. One day, he misses the school bus and walks home alone. As he passes a quiet street, he hears a familiar tune. He runs toward it, and there she is. He hugs her tightly. It turns out that in the water, she had used the small keychain he once gave her to unlock the cuffs and escape. Later a notification appears on her phone, a new pickup request. Because for Eun-ha the road never ends.